Okay, so this is section 1, ethical decision making. Now, for this section, you need to be able to know what Catholic views on what makes an act wrong. You've then got to know about the Catholic view on ethical decision making, the Jewish view, and the non-religious view. Now, when it comes to what makes an act wrong, you could be asked this as a describe or an explain question, but it's more likely to be a describe question. Now, for Catholics, it is linked to their faith. Okay, because for Catholics, they equate wrong, okay, with being sinful as an offence against God. All right, so there are certain things that help Catholics to be able to understand what is right, what is wrong. Okay, so the first one is the will of God or the teachings of God. Something that goes against the Ten Commandments, etc., is obviously sinful. Then you've got the teachings of Jesus, all right, you use the greatest commandment, the golden rule, etc. And you've got the teachings of the church. So you've got the catechism, all right, you can use all the papal letters, that sort of thing. Then you've got the idea of natural law and order, okay, so God has commanded what is wrong, all right, and put his natural moral law into the world, okay, so if it goes against that, therefore the act is wrong. That the final thing you can also say as well is your conscience. Okay, that it's almost like a God's law imprinted on human beings so that they're able to understand right from wrong. Now, sometimes they do wrong with it was called because they follow their conscience, but that's because of a lack of understanding of their conscience rather than it being their conscience is wrong. Now, when it comes to Catholic views on ethical decision making, all right, they take an absolutist approach. Okay, an action is right or wrong. They don't take a relativist approach, so they don't consider the situation, all right? Things you got to remember here is that they support natural moral law, okay, that God has put his law onto the world, all right, that we should follow so we know right from wrong. The other one is divine command theory. God has commanded what is right and wrong, and again, you can link that with the Ten Commandments. They should use our conscience. We should use sources of wisdom and authority, so the Bible, the Catechism, etc. That I've said that they should reject relative approaches, and the other one is virtue ethics. Okay, the Catholics support virtue ethics, where that's the idea of that when we are judged, when we look at whether we are good or evil, that we take into consideration all of our actions in our lives. Okay, and that as we strive to be good, that is where we become a virtuous person. Now, when it comes to a Jewish view, okay, so that's the same kind of idea there was as the Catholic view came as an explanation answer, but the Jewish view, all right, is very similar, okay, it's very similar to Catholics, that they also take an absolutist approach, okay, they believe that God has commanded what is right and what is wrong, okay, and that's why there are 613 mitzvot for Jews to follow, okay? They're God's commands, God's instructions that they have to follow, all right? So they'd reject the ideas of things like situation ethics or other relativist approaches. What's called the final thing to sort of to focus on is that God has given natural moral law, which says what is right and wrong, and Jews believe that because we've got free will, we should follow our conscience to try and be in order, try and be in line with that moral law. So what's important to them is making sure that they have an excellent understanding of their conscience. So they need their conscience to be informed. So they look to the Tanakh. They pray to God, or that they may speak to their rabbi for certain issues such as abortion, as we've studied before. Now, the final thing is that it could come up as an evaluation question. If it does, then obviously you need to bring in your non-religious views, okay? So you could say that the first point that I would probably focus on is the fact that people use their conscience to help them make ethical decisions, because it's sort of something that we can all relate to. We'll understand that little voice in our head. It's almost our moral guide within us, trying to get us to do good, okay? Now, some people would say that's got nothing to do with God, it's just the idea that we've all got this moral code inside of us. The other one is that many people take a relativist approach, so situation ethics, okay? So they think of what is the situation, what's the outcome of our actions, and that is what defines what is good and what is not. The final thing, okay, that they use as a guide for themselves is they look to the law. Okay, so that helps them. It's something they can relate to and follow, and it ensures that their actions are right or wrong.